how to account for the wholesaler's assignment fee when analyzing and purchasing an investment property when you negotiate. That is a great point. So let me show you a really valuable tool that super investors get access to, and it's called because you kind of won't believe me unless you see it. This is the Super Investors Creative Deal Portal. So this is a relationship with a lot of wholesalers who come in and who focus on creative finance, and they come in and provide deals for the super investors community to buy as simply and easily as possible. So for example, all of these deals, all these properties are properties for sale right now that are structured creatively and that we can buy by clicking a button. You click a button, you can buy this $542,000 home in Atlanta, Georgia, which has a $49,000 entry fee. So for $50,000, you can buy this $542,000 property and take over their 4.25% interest rate. You can click it to get more information about the property. Let me show you what it looks like when you actually click it after. You get more information: 4-bed, 4-bath, square footage, when it's built. There is an HOA, minimum rent 6 months. So for me, that's a no-go, for example. For you, it may work perfectly, or you want to live in it, even better. And all this information, right? And you can just submit the offer and get it and just buy it right away as efficient as possible. These are not tools that I had when I was buying and holding real estate. They are tools I'm creating to make everyone's lives easier that I'm helping with real estate investments. What that question was asking is, if I'm buying a property at $574,000, well, I think it's a two-part question. It's how do we account for the wholesaler's assignment fee when we're analyzing deals? And I'm taking that one step further. It's very simple to say, if they're charging you a $10,000 assignment fee, well, that's $10,000 you account for as your entry cost. However, a lot of times you see an entry fee that says $42,000. The question is, what all does that encompass, right? Because let's look at the spreadsheet. The $42,000 is going to be the entry cost for your deal, right? We talked about for the pad split specifically, we're also adding costs to build the bedroom and furnishing costs, right? But there's entry costs it takes to buy the property, which collectively accounts for the down payment to the seller, any arrears or liens. So if the seller missed mortgage payments, or there's liens on the property, then you get paid off to purchase it. If there's an agent involved, you're paying this agent a commission. If there's any rehab or furnishing costs, right? For this as a long-term rental in this scenario, you can expand on that like we did down below. For the pad split or other management strategies, any closing costs like for the title company, transaction coordinators, whatever. For me, because a lot of these costs all these costs will be paid by my capital partners at closing, but I have to pay for some of these costs in advance. Like I have to pay the transaction coordinator, I have to form the LLC, I have to pay to inspect the property. These are costs that I lump together here to know how much my capital partners need to pay me back. So it's just these admin costs, which could be lumped in your TC cost or your closing costs. That's how some would do it. For me, I separate as admin and reimbursement costs because these are things I pay for before closing. If there's an assignment fee to the wholesaler, if there's an acquisition fee, you as the buyer, you're getting paid an acquisition fee to buy the property as well, right? But you're talking about the assignment fee and then any reserves for the property. So the question is, if it's $10,000 assignment fee, you plug it in here, right? And that's $10,000. That's all it is. But a lot of the times you'll see the information where it's lumped together. And let me just show you. Let's see if this one has a great breakdown of entry. Okay, this is a perfect example. So this Atlanta deal has an entry fee plus closing costs plus transaction coordinator costs of $4,900 or $49,000. So this $49,000 encompasses a decent amount, but it does not account for the closing costs and transaction coordinator costs. Let me show you what that accounts for on the spreadsheet, because usually that $49,000 is going to be the down payment to the seller, the arrears and liens, agent commissions, right? No wholesaler is going to account for your rehab or furnishing costs unless it's maybe a cash deal. So we'll get rid of that. They'll be red, right? That's not something they're accounting for in there. Closing costs, they're telling you that's a separate thing. You have to add on 2% is a fine estimate. They're telling you, plus you got to add that separately. The $49,000 is accounting for these. They're not your admin reimbursement costs. They're lumping that into your closing costs, right? So we'll make those blue. That's the plus TC costs and closing costs. That's what these two are. They're not accounting for your rehab furnishing. They are definitely accounting for their assignment fee as part of that $49,000. They do not care about your acquisition fee. They don't even know that you're doing that, right? That's a whole separate thing. So that's not accounted for there. And they really don't care about your carrying costs or your reserves. Let's get back to the color coding real fast. Orange is that $49,000. They're saying, okay, it's $49,000 is going towards assignment fee, right? What the wholesaler is receiving as part of this, money to the seller, arrears and liens, right? If there's anything that's owed on that to catch up the mortgage or pay off the liens, and any agent commissions, whatever's needed there. They're not accounting for your rehab, right? The red costs and your furnishing costs, your acquisition fee, if you are charging one, and carrying costs for the property. They don't care about your reserves, if you're getting paid as part of the transaction, or the rehab. That's for you to figure out. And they're saying plus TC and closing costs, right? Right here. These blue ones are saying you got to add those separately to the $49,000. In this instance, that's another, in this particular instance, another $8,200 that you'd have to account for to that $49,000. Let me set these numbers kind of the way. Let's see if we can get to $49,000. Let's set all this to 0 because they're not asking for these. So $49,000. So essentially, we're just estimating here. The $49,000 is down payment to the seller, right? Giving the seller cash to close on the property, paying the agent and the assignment fee. Whether this down payment to the seller is the full $49,000 and these are 0, the numbers are all the same. Your entry cost is still $49,000, whether it's being split between agent commissions, assignment fee, or down payment to the seller. I like a breakdown of the costs to the seller, to the agent, any arrears or liens, any assignment fee. I want to understand what those numbers are because I break them down. I determine, okay, what can we and can we not negotiate, right? And I'll get into that right now. And one of the last things I try to negotiate is if a wholesaler is bringing me their deal, I'm not trying to negotiate their assignment fee because that is them getting payment for all the work that they put into the deal, unless I think the deal that they brought to me doesn't justify their assignment fee, and I will explain why. Doesn't mean they have to allow me to buy it, right? They don't have to allow me to do anything, so they may not. What I try to focus on is the down payment to the seller and any agent commissions. If there's a way that we can negotiate those things down. We're going to remove this arrears or liens from this right now because I don't like to mess with their arrears or liens or try to get them modified or lowered. You get into some issues that are just not worth it. If you do that, that's awesome. Congrats, because you can lower your entry costs. But really, I want you to understand the entry cost is $49,000 are these orange ones. And what you can really negotiate is the down payment to the seller, the agent commissions, and the assignment fee, right? Those are the 3 things you can negotiate. And I try to negotiate the assignment fee last, right? So the question is, how do we account for the wholesaler assignment fee when it says $49,000? Well, if you're breaking down your entry cost, it could all be $49,000 here, right? And 0 here and 0 here, or not. That doesn't change your analysis, right? You just need to make sure it's $49,000 for your entry. That's what your numbers are going to be based off for this entry amount. It doesn't matter how it's broken down. You understanding how it's broken down then helps you renegotiate. And that was the second part of the question. When purchasing an investment property, is that something that I negotiate? In order of preference, it really depends on who's getting paid what, right? And how much work are they doing? If the wholesaler is going above and beyond and doing this work and help me renegotiate, if I say I need to get this down to $45,000 for this deal to work for me, let's say as a long-term rental, it's a 9.5% cash on cash return. But if I can lower this down to, let's say it's 49,000, say 45,000, and now I'm at over 10%, and I can buy this as a 10% cash on cash return rate. That's literally my goal. I need to get 10% or higher. So that means I need to drop this, let's say, to 46,000. I will play with this number first, even though it's hard coded. Say, okay, basically I need to get down $3,000 to then get this over 10% for me to buy this deal. Okay. So we hard coded it, right? It's a formula, just adding all this stuff. You don't want to actually do that after. You want to see, okay, where can we take $3,000? The first thing I'll tell the wholesaler is, hey, wholesaler, love this deal. I'm pretty close to buying this thing. We're just like a little bit off. I need to lower the entry cost $3,000. Either they've already provided you the breakdown or not, but then they will provide you that breakdown if you ask for it. Usually you got to convey to them that you want to make sure they get paid and all that. Like, you're not trying to take $3,000 from them. You just need this entry cost in totality, $46,000 or less. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. So then I put the ball in their court. They can negotiate that. They can drop their assignment fee $3,000 to get the deal done, or they can work with the seller and say, hey guys, when you drop $3,000, is that coming out of the money of the seller, the agent commission, half, $2K here, $1K there? Whatever you want to do, you just needed to get to $46,000. I just present the total to the wholesaler and say, hey, I'm not asking you to drop your assignment fee $3,000, but I can only buy this thing at $46,000 entry. Of the 49, we need to get $3K or more off. They're probably not going to get more than $3K off. That's what you're asking for. Or they deserve. So if they get this down $10K, they'll probably increase this $7K. So it's still a net $3K. As long as it still makes sense for you, it's all right. It's good to pay them what they deserve for negotiating. And then I put the ball in their court. That's how I negotiate it. Will I negotiate the assignment fee? I'll negotiate it in the way that I mentioned. Collectively, we're at $49K. I need to get to $46K. Based on like wholesaler, based on what you know about the seller and agent, do you think it's viable that 3K can be whittled down? Okay, well, do you think it's possible each of you drop at 1,000 or let them come up with solutions, right? Let the wholesaler come up with a solution. Maybe they say, I'll just drop my assignment fee and we'll get this deal done. I really put the ball in their court after doing the analysis. Already structured creatively. That's awesome. I thought we still need to analyze the property and have them negotiate. No, yeah, Kent. So every single deal in the Super Deals databases are already creatively financed. They're already negotiated. You can renegotiate them further. So let's say that 49K entry, we respond, like, I'll show you exactly how you would do it right now. You say, hey, I'm interested in submitting an offer. When I click this, it'll go to a text message or an email. I don't want to show you all that right now. But you'd say, hey, I'm really interested in this property, but when I analyze the entry fee, the $49,000, I can't make this work at $49,000 to get the returns I need to be able to buy this deal. We can drop this to $46,000. However we do that, whether it's like whatever part of the entry fee can drop by $3,000, I can be your buyer on this deal, right? Like that's what you're doing. That's already on there. It's on the database. It's already prepared for that because that's exactly how I'm doing a lot of my deals. D. Blant says, is that similar to Crexy? So if you don't know what Crexy is it's like a commercial real estate marketplace. Think of like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or whatever for commercial properties. This is similar to that or similar to any other database, any other platform to allow you to buy deals or buy anything. But what you're able to buy and see very efficiently is a bunch of creatively financed deals right now available to purchase. And you have all the information presented for you. The reason why, like the way that we were doing it before is that we would manually have to get on every single wholesaler's list, emails, text messages, Facebook, whatever, and then take all that. Everyone's presenting things differently. It's coming at random times, whatever, clean all that data up and then be able to look at it and then analyze. Well, I figured, I have this community of almost 80 super investors. How can I make their life that much easier instead of having to do all the work that I had to do just to get deals, just to be able to view them and decide if I want to even pursue them and analyze them? How can I make that easier? Well, if I take all this data, I clean all this data up and then put it in a website for them to more easily see, that would be a massive value add. That'd be more efficient. That'd be a super ability for super investors to more easily find great creative finance investment opportunities, filter through them, whatever. That is an advantage for them. That's just a superpower. They'll do so. So similar to Crexy, I guess, for creative finance deals immediately ready to buy you already have a transaction coordinator ready to go. They already understand the whole process. Everything's already done. You just say, I'm interested or I want to buy it, but I need to get to these terms. And that's it. Everything else is then going to be handheld for you to make your life that much easier. I'll drop the link for super investors. If you want to just check it out, there's an awesome video. I'll drop that link in here for you. Rule of thumb, Mock Pilot says, do you have a rule of thumb for how much to pay an assignment fee based on? No, I don't have any rules of thumbs for anything. Rules of thumb, very rarely do I have rules of thumb. I guess one of the things is like, I like a pad split right by the room with 6 bedrooms or more, whatever. That just comes from analyzing a lot of deals and then making that make sense. A lot of rules of thumb that were created previously make no financial sense now. The 1% rule for long-term rentals doesn't make a lot of sense now because interest rates are way higher. Even if you have 1% of your purchase price is rental income, $100,000 property renting for 1% or $1,000 a month, that doesn't mean it's going to be a good deal or not. You need to analyze that property. And secondarily, I don't really want great long-term rental properties. A great long-term rental property is that 2-bed, 1-bath, $80,000 home in Alabama that rents for $1,200 a month. That's a phenomenal long-term rental deal. I don't want a portfolio of those things. I don't want any of that crap. Why would I want? I would rather have 10. I mean, you know me, I have like 60 plus. I'd rather have 10 phenomenal high cash flowing assets in better areas, right? What pad split allows me to do, rent by the room allows me to do, better markets, right? Bigger and better properties in nicer parts of those states and cities, and I'm making more income. I would rather do that than get 10 smaller or 100 smaller $100,000 properties that generate me the same, if not less cash flow. But then my portfolio of really great properties is going to appreciate way faster, be way easier to manage 10 versus 100. And I'm able to get the same, if not more tax benefits from bigger properties than just a ton of smaller ones. It just makes no sense. Everyone, well, this is your first time meeting me. I literally don't care about houses. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care about stocks. I don't care about any of that stuff. The reason why I care about it, the reason why I talk about it and I'm so heavily spend a lot of time and energy on it because I care about financial freedom and time freedom. These are the best assets for me to become financially free. I'm not passionate about luxury short-term rentals and how can I make this backyard. I care about providing high quality rentals to my tenants because first of all, it's just good business. And second of all, like the better you treat your tenants, the better tenants treat you and your property. I wish people understood that they weren't slumlords, like literally being a great landlord. And I just posted on Instagram another tenant saying, Michael, thank you. You're a great landlord, yada, yada, whatever. There's like 3 that I self-manage and they're just like, thank you. Like, you're awesome. Thank you. That's a really great way to be, not try to save money by being a terrible, frugal landlord that's not taking care of your tenants. That's one thing, right? Being a great landlord and taking care of your tenants, taking care of your property so that they also take care of your properties with you and for you. And that's in the best interest of your properties as well. Taking care of your property on the little things that come, there's a water leak and whatever, it makes more sense to take care of that now, which is better for your tenants before a huge pipe burst or something and it gets worse, your property's in worse condition and it costs you more money. Usually fixing things early on and having good communication with your tenants is going to allow for that. So I'd rather have 10 great properties generating me way better returns more efficiently. I just care about financial freedom efficiently, right? And that's why I've built my portfolio the way that I have. That's why I've learned, and that's why I share things the way that I do, so that it's better to manage a better portfolio that generates you more money with less work than it is to do the opposite. All right. Great question. Post that in the Super Investors community or Wealth to Real Estate, and I'll answer that in a future office hours. All right. I got a little derailed there, but we will do this one. Let me answer your question. There was a third question I was going to answer, but it's about raising capital. How am I buying properties using none of my own money? I want to answer that one. I think that one's going to need 20 plus minutes. I want to show you guys. We'll save that one for the next week.